Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kiki Levy, and I am the administrative specialist here at Temple Small Business Development Center, where we help businesses start and grow. We offer free one-on-one counseling as well as low to no cost webinars. And today you have joined us for one of those webinars. It's our WordPress website series, Building an Effective WordPress Site. Just to let you all know, a copy of today's PowerPoint will be sent out to you along with other materials within 3 to 5 business days of this event. All of the attendees have been muted for this event. We do encourage you to post questions that you may have in the Q&A. Please do not post any questions in the chat. That way we can kind of keep track and make sure we address all of your questions. For those of you that have joined us last time, Barbara is back and she is ready to share some more great information. I don't know about you all, but I definitely enjoyed the presentation last time that she gave. And today I think she's really going to get into the nitty-gritty of things. So I'll actually turn it over to her now. Barbara, take it away.
Okay. Can you allow me to share my screen?
You're all good. We was talking so much, I forgot to do that.
That's okay. Okay. So thank you guys for joining me today on part 2 of this 3-part series on WordPress website design. Part 1 was all about getting things set up. So getting your WordPress site set up so you can actually start building your website. In today's session, we are going to talk about what makes an effective website, and we're actually going to walk through the process of building the website. So I'm going to actually do a live demonstration and show you how to build everything. So if you were here last week, we talked about registering our domain name. We talked about how to set up WordPress website hosting. We learned about the WordPress dashboard. We installed a few different things. We installed a theme, the Hello theme, and we installed some different plugins, including the Elementor page builder. And this is what we're going to be using to build our website. So if you didn't view last week's presentation, I will be uploading the video to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/wikidesign, and you can watch that once it's uploaded. I think we can send out a notification or something to let you know. If you do want to go watch that, there's a lot of information that will be relevant to today. What we're going to learn about today is what makes an effective website. So we want to build websites that not just look pretty, but actually accomplish a goal. We're going to learn how to create effective website content. What are the most important pages of a small business website? We're going to learn how to add our logo, fonts, and colors to our site, how to create WordPress pages, how to set up a WordPress menu, how to use the Elementor page builder. And I'm going to go over some tips and tricks for easy editing. And we're going to learn how to integrate some marketing CRMs into Elementor as well, so we can do some really cool things with our website. Before we get started, we need to ask ourselves what makes an effective website. An effective website clearly communicates your message. So whatever your brand and company is about, we need to showcase that on our website. It needs to be targeted to our customers. So we are trying to work with a specific type of person. So our website needs to communicate directly to them. It needs to talk to them and answer their questions. It also needs to accomplish your marketing goals. So whatever those goals may be, it might be generating leads, it might be making sales, or it could be subscribing people to a list. Whatever that goal is for your website, you need to include some functionality that lets you do that easily. And the last thing an effective website does is it's easy and to manage and expand upon. So we don't want a website that's hard to manage, hard to update. We want something that we can easily update over time. So that's what we're going to learn how to do today. But before we actually get started with designing, we have to talk about content, because content comes first. And when you are designing a website, you can't design a website unless you have content, because we need to know what to put on the pages. So when I talk about content, what I'm talking about are pages, so the actual pages of our website, what goes on them, posts, things like blog posts, a podcast, video, stuff like that would be considered posts, images, and any downloads or freebies that we might want to offer to potential customers. So let's talk about website copy. This is a really important part of our website. And when it comes to copy, less is definitely more. I want you to think about when you go to websites, do you actually read everything word for word? Probably not. I know I don't have a very big attention span, and most people don't have that. So we want to make sure that our copy is short and sweet and gets to the point. We don't need to have long paragraphs of text. You want to break it up into small chunks. And you definitely need to think about the goal for the page. So if you are selling products and you're doing a product page, it's probably the goal of that page is going to be to get somebody to buy the product. So we want to clearly communicate what the product is, describe it well, and give people the opportunity to buy it. But if it's an about page, the goal is a little different. The goal would be to talk a little bit about yourself and why you are the right person to work with. That would be the goal for the about page. Now, I know writing is really difficult. I am not a great writer myself. I struggle with writing website copy. So if you're not a writer, I would consider hiring a professional to help you if that's something that's in your budget. But if not, one tip I have if you're DIYing your website copy is to write your page of copy and then go and edit it through. So go through, make an edit, and then let it sit for a few days, and then go back and edit it again. So what's left after you do 2 edits is only the most important information. And you'll find that there are things that you'll be able to get rid of, and you'll be left with copy that's short, sweet, and to the point. Now let's talk about photos. Photos really are what bring a website to life. So whenever I work with new clients on website designs, I always ask them for inspiration. And 9 times out of 10, they will send me inspiration and say, I really like this website. And the thing that they like is almost always the photos, because photos really make your website shine. You want your photos to showcase your business, your products, and you. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to about pages that don't include a picture of the person that runs the company. This is something that you want to do. You want to make that personal connection because people really want to know the person behind the company. They want to build that connection. When it comes to products, if you are selling things on your website, product photos are really important because we can't actually touch and feel the products on a website. We have to really accurately describe them, and photos can really help do that. You can use stock photos, and there's tons of stock photo sites out there. And I use stock photos sometimes in website designs, but I definitely recommend avoiding any of those cheesy stock photos, things like people in stiff business suits, shaking hands, stuff like that, because people can really see right through that. They've been overused so much. So avoid those and go for things that kind of speak more to your brand, maybe using similar colors of your brand, stuff like that. Professional photos obviously are going to work the best. And if you can hire a professional photographer, I think it is one of the best investments you can make as far as your website design, because you're going to have photos that are unique to your business. You can also use them for things like social media posts and stuff like that. But if you don't have the budget, there's nothing wrong with taking photos yourself. When I first started Wiki Design, I took all the photos myself because I couldn't afford to hire a professional photographer. And you can use your phone. Your phone camera will do a good enough job. But you do want to pay attention to lighting. I always recommend taking photos where there's natural light available. So if you can take them outside, that usually works out really well. If not, take them by a window that has some good natural light and you'll get good results. You also want to pay attention to the background of your photos as well. You don't want anything in the background that could be distracting because it will lead to a poor design. and stage the photo if you can. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're taking a picture at your desk to showcase your workspace. Make sure that your desk is free of papers and stuff like that, because you don't want things to look out of place or disorganized. And paying attention to those little details can really go a long way. When it comes to photos, the more options you have, the better. And you want to get some that are both horizontal orientation and vertical orientation, because you're going to be using them throughout the layout of your website. So horizontal generally works well for like background photos. So if you've ever gone to a site and you've seen a big image on the home page and there's text over it, those background photos are almost always horizontal because our screens are widescreen format. So those usually work really well for background photos. Vertical is good for headshots or team photos, stuff like that. Okay, so we talked about copy and we talked about photos. Now let's talk about the pages of our website. What are the most important pages, things that we need to focus on? I believe every small business website should include certain pages. And the first is an about page. And we want to have an about page because people really want to know about who we are and what our company is about. And we're small businesses, so we don't have that name recognition all the time. So an about page is really a great opportunity to connect to your customers. We also want a contact page because we want people to be able to contact us easily. And that page should include multiple ways to contact us. We'll also either have a services or products page, depending on the type of business that we're in. Services page will describe the services that we offer, maybe a little bit about our process, and might answer some frequently asked questions. Products pages will describe the products that we're selling. And then we'll obviously need a home page. And I put this one last intentionally because I think it's a lot easier to create a home page once you have all these other pages figured out. So the image that you're seeing on the right is actually my homepage, wikidesign.com. And we have a bunch of different things on here. And we have an image of us, we have some text and a button that leads to contact us. And then we have some of our services built out. So I took elements from these different pages and I placed them on the homepage. And that's what I recommend doing. I recommend filling out these other pages first and then work on the homepage. It makes things a little bit easier. Some other pages that you might want to include, depending on your business, are a blog. Blogs are great for content marketing. This is an example of our blog page. We call it resources because we do a lot of educational content. But blogs don't just have to be articles. They can be videos. They can be a podcast. There's a lot of different ways that you can use a WordPress blog. So I definitely recommend having a blog if you do plan on sharing content. If you are, for example, a photographer, you might want to have a gallery on your website or a portfolio that showcases your work. So things like these are pages that you might want to include. You're also going to want to have a privacy policy page. And if you're an online store, you'll want to have a return policy because people want to know what happens if they do have to return something. Okay, so we talked about what makes an effective website, and now it's time for the fun part, which is designing. So I'm going to get out of this presentation and actually open up a website that I've created specifically for this webinar. We're going to walk through the design process together. So this is my WordPress dashboard, and if you are familiar, if you were here last week, you're familiar with this. We went over what all these buttons mean. I went ahead and I installed my theme and I installed my plugin. So Elementor is installed, my backup plugin, my SEO plugin, and WordFence for security. So everything's installed and I'm ready to get started. The first thing that I always do is go to my Elementor settings. So in order to do this, I'm going to go to Elementor and then I'm going to click on settings. And from here, there's a few things that we need to do. So we're going to disable default colors and default fonts. And the reason we're going to do this is because we're going to create a default kit in our site settings, which is in Elementor. I'm going to explain that a little bit later, but we don't need to inherit any colors or fonts from the theme. We're going to use our own brand colors. So I'm going to check those and hit save changes. Next thing I'm going to do is click on this integrations tab. This is where we can add some of those marketing integrations. So the first thing that shows up is reCAPTCHA. So reCAPTCHA is, if you ever gone on a website's contact form and you've seen those crazy letters that you have to put in that verify you're not a robot, that's what reCAPTCHA is. And this does help with spam. So if you want to have a contact form on your site, you might want to consider adding this to your website. And you can do this by clicking on this link. It'll walk you through the process. This is a free service that Google offers. You'll generate a site key and you can put that in here. You put the secret key in here, and then you'll scroll down to save changes. This is something that I recommend doing if you do have a contact form, because spam is a thing, unfortunately. You can do reCAPTCHA version 3. It's the same thing, just kind of a preference of what you want to use, but it will do the same thing. There's also some Facebook integration available as well. So Facebook SDK is if you have a dedicated application that you're using, you want to include tracking on your website, you can get the app ID and put it in here, and that'll connect your Facebook application to your site. Again, you can get more information on how to do this by clicking these links. There's also lots of email marketing integration built into Elementor. We have integration for MailChimp, Drip, ActiveCampaign, GetResponse, ConvertKit, and MailerLite. So what this will do is connect your website to your email list. So if you want to do email marketing campaigns, you can collect people's email addresses with opt-ins and then send them marketing campaigns. This is a really cool feature that's built into Elementor Pro. I have videos on my YouTube channel about how to do some different things regarding this. So if you want more information on this, I definitely recommend checking out YouTube for that. I walk you through how to do some more advanced stuff that we're not going to get into in this video, but we will get into some of that in session 3. So all of these things are things that you, again, can get information on how to generate the keys by just clicking on whatever service that you use. Scrolling down to the bottom, there is also integration for Adobe fonts. So this is a really cool feature that I like because I'm a designer and I use Adobe fonts quite often. If you're using Adobe fonts in your branding and you want to include those fonts on your website design, you can do that by creating a project ID and entering it in here. So this is a really cool feature. I'll get into this more a little bit later. There's also integration for Font Awesome Pro. Font Awesome is an icon-based font, so the font is actually looks like little pictures. This is something that is built into Elementor by default, but if you did have some premium versions of Font Awesome, you could enter your kit ID here and use that on your website. So all of these different things are available out of the box with Elementor Pro. Lots of cool features. The rest of these tabs are things that are more like developer stuff. You don't really have to worry about. Advanced is more like definitely developer. Experiments is things that Elementor is working on. So this is kind of cool if you just want to see what they have going on and what updates are going to be made, but you don't have to worry about doing anything in here. This is kind of just like a log. And style is actually in a different area of Elementor, so we don't have to worry about that. So we've done everything that we need to do under settings. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is create our pages. So we're going to go to pages. Now, I've already created some of the pages for my website. But if you need to add new pages, all you have to do is go to add new. And what I like to do is actually go in and just quickly add all of the pages to my site. So let's say that I wanted to add a gallery. I would just add gallery to the title, and I'm going to go over here and hit publish. And that's all I'm going to do right now. I like to do this and just go one by one, just keep adding pages until all the pages of my site are on my website and under pages. Because the next thing that I want to do is actually create my menu. So before I start designing anything, I like to just have all my pages set up and then go in and create the menu. So I have a bunch of pages here already. So I'm going to go now to create my menu. In order to do that, I'm going to go to Appearance and then Menus. So we need to create a new menu, and we can do that by just calling this whatever we want. I usually just call it Main Menu. And then over here is where all of our pages live. So there's already some pages in here, and we can rearrange how this looks just by dragging and dropping. So I'm just going to do Home, About, I'll do Gallery, and then I'll do Contact, and then Services. We'll put Services above Contact. And then I'm actually going to get rid of these because I don't want 2 home links, and I don't need the privacy policy in my main menu. And then you just go over here and you hit Create Menu, and that will create a menu that we can then use in our header of the website. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later. So let me go to the front end of the site. Right now, nothing really looks that great because we haven't really done much. So what I like to do when I'm working on a new website is create a coming soon page. So what this does is it puts up a default page that lets people see something that looks a little more professional and better designed. So I can go in behind the scenes and work on the website without having to worry about people seeing things that are in progress. So that's the next thing that we're going to do. And in order to do that, we're going to go where it says templates, because this is going to use an Elementor template. And we're going to talk about templates a bit because we use templates a lot in creating websites. Templates do a lot of different things, but the main thing that they're really great for is creating things that we can use over and over again. This is nice because who wants to have to go to every separate page and add code for something that we're just going to be using over and over again? If we can create one template, we can edit one template, and those changes will populate throughout our site. So it's really nice to be able to do that. So all of our templates will live here. I already created a coming soon template for this site, but if we wanted to create a new template, we would just go up here and hit Add New. And then we have a bunch of options that we can choose from. For a coming soon template, we'll select page because it's an entire page. And then we can name it whatever we want and hit Create Template, and then we'll open up the Elementor editor. But I've already created my template, so I'm going to open up the Elementor editor and show you how it all works. Okay, so this is my coming soon template. Now it's a very simple page. I didn't want to make it too fancy because I really want to work on my actual website. So this is just kind of a landing page for the time being, but you can do a lot of different things with the Elementor page builder, and you can make this as fancy as you want. As you can see on the left-hand side, we have all of these different elements that we can add to our page. And as you can see, I'm scrolling through, there's a lot of different things that we can add. Elementor has tons of different functionality just built into the platform. Over on the right, we have our actual page, and now we can scroll over these different areas and these different boxes become highlighted. These are all editable areas. Before I actually get started on editing, I want to go over our site settings because this is something that we will be using throughout our website, and this makes things a little bit easier. This is one of my tricks for easier editing, is to set up your site settings. So we're going to go over here to this little hamburger icon, and this is going to pull up a different menu. We're going to click on Site Settings. And in here is where we can globally set colors, fonts, typography, buttons, etc. So I've already added some of my colors. So this is the colors that you can use for your branding. So whatever colors are in your logo, in your brand, you can put these in here. You can put in the hex values, change them up. You can add as many colors as you want and label them whatever it is that you want. So I have my primary color, which is this blue. I have this cream color as my secondary. I have a color specifically for text, accent, and button hover. So you can add these colors to your site. And then as you're building things out, these colors will become the default colors for your website. You can do the same with fonts. You can globally set up fonts. So in here, I have my fonts set up, and I can do primary, secondary, the font for text, font for accent. Accent is like for buttons and stuff. So you can set all this up in here one time, and then you don't have to worry about doing it manually for every part of the website. You also have typography settings, so we can set the color that we want for our body text, for links, for our heading tags. It goes all the way down to H6. We can set all this information up in here. We have button settings that we can do, so the normal and then the hover state as well. We can change those up. And images. So if you wanted to have all of your images with a border around it or make them look a certain way, you have the ability to do that through here, and it will populate throughout the website whenever you add an image widget. We also have things for form fields. And then let's go down to site identity, because this is where we're going to upload our logo. So site identity has a couple different things. We have the name of our site, and we can put in a tagline if we have a tagline. This isn't necessary. We also will want to set up our site logo. So I've already uploaded my logo, but you can upload it by clicking here and just hitting insert media, or you can select one from your media library, which we talked a little bit about last week. We also can set up our site favicon. So the favicon is what's up in the browser tab, that little icon up here. So we can add that to our site settings as well. And by doing this, you're just making things a little bit easier for you. So I always like to start with that, so that way when we're building out our pages, we have everything set up as far as our colors and our type is concerned, and it just makes things a lot easier. So in order to update these, you'll just hit this update button, and then we can go back by closing out the editor, and it goes back to the default Elementor editor. Now let's talk about this editor. So this is a visual drag and drop system. So I can make changes to things on the fly. So if I click on this, you can see it says site logo. So that's the site logo that I just uploaded in the site settings. So if you pick your site logo as one of the widgets and you drag it over, that is what will show up. Now let's click on this text. If I make changes to this, you can see them happening in real time. So you make changes over on the left-hand side, those changes populate over on the right. Whenever you're done making changes and you want to hit update, you just hit this green update button. We can add as many widgets to our page as we want. So I added some social media icons because maybe I want people to check me out on other platforms while my website is being built. So what's cool about this is that you can add as many as you want, and you can change the icons as well. So let's say I don't really like that Facebook icon, I want to change it. I can go in and do a search for Facebook. If I click all icons, there's a few that come up. I like this one better, so I'm going to click this one. And you can see it changed. And then I can put links to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever I want in here. It's really customizable. Now we can also change the color of these. And this is something that I've done. I've changed the color of these icons because I didn't want the default colors. If I go back to the official color, you can see it changes that, but that doesn't really go with my branding. So I'm going to change it to custom, and I'm actually going to go to primary color, and I'm going to click this globe icon. And what that does is it brings up those primary colors that I've set up in my site setting. So if I click this, then it changes to blue. And if I click the secondary color, I can change it to this cream color that I have in the background. So these are all things that make it very easy once you have those primary colors set up. I can also change the size. So there's lots of different things available, the padding around the actual icons, the spacing, there's tons of different things that you can do. And it really depends on what widget you're adding, what will show up here, but there's a lot of options available and right within the editor. So you don't have to know how to do any advanced coding. Let's go over to the advanced tab and talk a little bit more about that, because there's some really cool things available under the advanced tab. So margin and padding just adds some padding to your widgets. You can play around with that if you need to. Motion effects, this is a really fun feature. So by default, there are some entrance animations that are built into Elementor, and that just gives some cool effects. So if I change this to fade in up, you can see now when the page loads, those icons will fade in. Just adds a little extra. We can play around with background colors, borders. There's a mask feature where we can do some really cool effects. There's tons of different things. What I always say with Elementor, to really get a feel for it, is to just play. You have to go in and just play around and see what it can do, because they are adding new things to it all the time. And I could really go crazy, or I could keep things simple. It's really just a matter of personal preference. But if you really want to learn how to use the editor, the best way is just to go in and play with it. So I am going to leave this page as is. I'm happy with how it looks, but I want to check how it looks on a mobile device. Now we can do that with Elementor. So down here at the bottom, we have what is called responsive mode. If we click on that, it shows our website page on a mobile phone. And we can also click to see what it looks like on tablet, and then we can go back to desktop. So this is a really cool feature that's built into the editor and lets you see what things are going to look like on different devices. So you can make adjustments if you need to, based on how it looks. So I love this feature of Elementor. Another thing that they have is history. So let's say I wanted to go back and undo some things. I can click on history and I can go back and all my changes are logged. Under revisions, this logs every time you hit update. So every time you hit update, it saves a version and you can go back to that version. Okay, let's go to the next tab, which is Navigator. Navigator allows you to navigate the page in a different way. So if I click on Navigator and just start clicking around, you can see as I'm clicking, things get highlighted. And this is just another way to navigate the page. Depending on the design that you have and how complex it is, you might want to use this. It's totally optional though. And under site settings, the last button, we just have some general site settings. This just is the title of the template, the status of the template. Hide title, we'll get into that a little bit later. This hides the actual page title from your theme. And then page layout. So this is using the Elementor canvas layout, which means that there's no header or footer showing on this page. Since it's a coming soon page, we don't need to have a header and footer. But for most pages, we'll probably just use the default layout, which you can choose here. But for coming soon pages, you just need to keep it simple. No header and footer is really required because we're not going to be navigating to anything. So I'm going to hit update on this. And I'm going to actually get out of here and I'm going to set this up to activate so we can actually see the coming soon page. So I'm going to get out here, go to my dashboard, and then I'm going to go to Elementor and then tools. What we're going to do is go to maintenance mode, and we're going to go to choose mode and then hit coming soon. And then we're going to make sure that our coming soon template that we just created is selected, and then I'll hit save changes. Now, if I open this up in an incognito window, you'll see that it shows the coming soon page. So I can work on my website logged in and see all of the pages, but everybody else is going to see this. So this is a really nice feature that's built into Elementor. You don't have to install any other plugins to achieve this. And I love doing this because it lets me work on my site at my own pace. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's talk more about the different pages on our website. So I'm going to go back to pages and I'm going to go to My about page. I've already set up this page. So I'm going to click edit with Elementor on here, and you can see it's the same editor. We have our widgets on the left, and then we have the page on the right. This does have a header and footer, but the header and footer aren't set up yet because I haven't actually done that, but we're going to get to that a little bit later. But I want to go over some more features that are built into the page builder. Since this is a more developed page, there's more sections and stuff, we can really get into how things work. So you can see that I have my image on the right, I have some text on the left, I have this button that scrolls down to this section. So those are all features that you can add. I haven't finished everything on this page, but what is really great about Elementor is that everything's so customizable. So let's say that I don't want to have 3 columns here. I only want to have 2 columns. Well, I can just remove a column by right-clicking my mouse and hitting delete. And now we have 2 columns. It's that easy. Let's say I don't want my columns to be the same width. I want this one to be shorter. It's just a matter of dragging, and you can see that it changes for you in real time. So lots of really cool features built into this editor. Let me scroll down a little bit further. So down here is where we can go and add additional sections and widgets to our page. So if we wanted to add more to this about page, I can do so by clicking this plus icon. And when you click the plus icon, it will prompt you to select your structure. And you can do that by just selecting one of these. And these are all things that can be changed throughout the process. So if you wanted to have a 2-column layout, we can do 2 columns. And then from here, we just click on each column and start adding in our widgets. So let's say I wanted to add an image over on the left. So I'll just drag over an image and then select one from my media library. Let's select this one for the example. Over on the right-hand side, I want to add some text. I want to drag over a heading, and then I'm going to change this text. And you can see that it's pulling in my fonts and my colors because I already set those up in the site settings. Now go back to the widgets. You can click this icon here to always get back. Let's add some text. Let's go back and add a button. And again, it's pulling in those settings that I set up. So the rollover and the everything is what I set up in my site settings. Now we can actually style this section up a bit. So just like on widgets, we have these 3 different tabs. You can do the same for the entire section. The entire section is this blue area. So under layout, I can change up some things to make it more stylized. So if I change the columns gap from default to wider, you can see how that changed, and there's a little bit more space around each column. I can also change the vertical alignment to middle, and you can see now that things are lined up vertically. So just with a few clicks, you can really make a big difference. Now let's say that I want to move this up above where it says professional credentials. I can just simply drag the entire thing above, and there you go. Let's say I want this image to be over on the right. Well, you just click and drag, and there you go. It's very simple to make adjustments. If I want to make this image bigger, again, I can just adjust the column and make it whatever size that I want. So this is how the editor works. And like I said before, the best way to really get familiarized with the editor is to play around with it. Now, one really cool thing about Elementor in the Pro version is that there are all of these awesome templates available. So let me get out of this page and talk more about those templates. I'm just going to leave this as is. I'm going to go back to my WordPress dashboard, go to pages, and we're going to go to the home page. So if I click edit on this, and I want to access the Elementor editor, I can always click this button as well, and it will pull up that same editor that we're used to seeing. So this page has nothing on it. I saved the home page for last. So let's say that I want to make this page really simple, but I'm not a designer. I don't know really how to design things. We can use templates that are pre-designed in Elementor. If we click here, instead of clicking this plus icon, it pulls up all of these pre-designed templates. These are all professionally designed templates that are built into the pro version. So you can see there's a lot of different things available. Some of them are even full website. So this one is an example of a beauty salon. We have an about, contact, gallery, homepage, services page. And I scroll down a little bit, we have a travel blog. There's a bunch of different ones available, and they're always updating this. This is really cool. So I actually used this template to create this website. So this is for a psychologist, but you don't have to use it as a psychologist website. I just liked the way it looks, and I can adjust things by adding my own images and my own text. So I'm actually going to use this homepage template for my homepage and my website. So I'm going to click insert, and then I'm going to hit import document settings, and let's give that a few seconds. And wow, we have an entire homepage design just by clicking a button. So I did mention about this page title. So what we're going to do is the first thing as far as customization is get rid of that. So we're going to go over to settings, and then we're going to hit hide title, and that just removes the title. So now we have our header and then the rest of our page. And from here, we can just go about changing things up. So I don't want this picture in here. This is just an example. So if I click here and then go to style, I can change the background image to a picture of me. And you can see how easy that was to change. And then we have over on the left-hand side, I can put in whatever text I want, but I can also change up the styling so it reflects my branding. So if I go to style, I can change the text color again to use my colors, and I can also change the typography to use my fonts. So you can see by changing it to mine, it changed it quite a bit. I can do the same thing for this text widget as well. So if I go to typography and click text, it changes and makes it a little bit bigger and uses a different font. So this is a really great way, if you're not a designer, to make a website, because we have all of these templates available. We can use this as a starting point and just adjust things to our liking using our images, our text, and our colors and fonts. So this is one of my favorite parts about Elementor, especially if you are not a designer. You can go through and really make a beautiful website with just a few clicks. There's so much functionality available inside of Elementor that it really makes things easy to work with. And the fact that they're always updating and changing it, it's just going to get more and more robust over time. So I'm actually going to just click update on this, and then we're going to move on to creating headers and footers. That's the next thing that we need to talk about, because we need to be able to navigate our website. So I'm going to get out of here and go to my dashboard again. And we're going to create more templates. So we're going to go to templates, and then we're going to go to add new and select a header template. We're going to do our header first. I'm just going to call this header and then hit create template. So you'll notice that what comes up when you do templates are more pre-designed blocks. So if you wanted to use one of these, you can. There's a lot of different ones available for both the header and footer and a bunch of different things. So feel free to take a look at those and use them and customize them to your liking. But for this example, I'm actually just going to create it from scratch. So I'm just going to exit out of here, and you can see we just have a blank template. So I'm just going to do a 2-column structure. I'm going to do this one here because I want to put my logo here and then my menu on the right. So we already went and set up our menu and we set up our site icon in the site settings. So we're just going to click here and you can see site logo. If we drag that over, it shows our logo. Now we had to make some customizations to that to make it a little bit bigger because right now it's way too small. So we're just going to go to style and adjust it. I usually like to do it by pixels. So I'm just make it 300 pixels. Now we can actually read the logo. So we can adjust the alignment and stuff as well in content. So I can align that to the left. Now I'm going to go over to the right and add a navigation menu. So I'm going to drag over a nav menu and you can see that my menu that I set up in WordPress is showing. So it's showing the exact order that I made under appearance menu. So that's why we have to set up the WordPress menu so we can pull it into our header. And from here, I can do some more adjustments as far as the styling goes. So I want to align my menu to the right and I want to make this so that it aligns vertically. So we're going to go to the section and we'll vertically align that to the middle. And that looks pretty good so far, but there's more customizations that we can make. We can go to the actual menu and click style and we have even more options. So we can change the text colors on normal and hover. We can add our own colors from our global settings. We can change the active color. So the active just lets you know what page you're on. So if you're on the home page, this would be the active state of that. We can adjust width of the pointer. We can adjust padding. We can adjust the space between the items. So there's a lot of customizations available. Now you'll see here, we also have drop down and toggle as options as well. This is for mobile because our menu on mobile is going to look a little bit different because we don't have as much screen real estate. So if I switch to mobile, you can see what it looks like. It's this little hamburger icon. Now I can adjust these settings by going to drop down and adjusting them here. So I can change the text color. And you can see it changed to blue. I can change the hover state so it doesn't have a background color. I can do that by actually going here and just making it completely transparent. So now you can see there's no background that shows up. And I can change the text color on hover to the button hover state, and you can see it now changes to that green color. So there's tons of options available as far as this as well. We can also change the look of this toggle button. We can go here and change the color of that. So let's say I wanted to make it black. Well, now it changed to black. I can change the background color of it as well if I wanted to. I can make it just plain white and then it just shows as an X. You can change the size of it, the width, whatever it is that you want to do, it's really available in here. So I don't necessarily like having the logo above and then this below. Maybe I want to have it side by side. Well, we can change that as well. We can go here to the column and change the width. So we can make this 50% and then make this 50%. And now things are side by side. So you see how customizable everything is. We can also look and see what things look like on tablet. For tablet, I think I'm going to change my toggle alignment so it's to the right. That looks a little bit better. And now I'm going to hit publish on this. and you'll see that there's some conditions that come up. So for most of the time, we're going to put the condition for the entire site because this is something that's going to be visible on every page. So we'll hit entire site and then we'll hit save and close. Now what happens if I go here and refresh? So this is what it looked like previously. Now it's what it looks like with the header. So we have our header set up, but you can see this isn't showing the home page. So what we need to do is actually go in and make that setting. So we can go back to our site settings and go to the additional settings here. Actually, it's going to be under appearance. Sorry, guys. We're going to go appearance and then customize, and then we're going to do homepage settings. And instead of it showing our latest post, which is like blog posts, we're going to show our homepage. We're going to do static page, and we're going to go select home as our homepage. And now we can see that the homepage is showing instead of the blog feed. We don't want the blog feed to show up as the main page of our website. We want the home page to show up. So this is where you would go to change that. Then you hit publish. Now, if we go back to the front end and we refresh this, you can see now we're starting to get somewhere. Now we need to work on the footer because there's nothing at the footer. So we need to go back to our WordPress dashboard and create another template. So under templates, we will go to add new, and then we will select a footer template. And then I'm just going to call this footer. We'll create a template. And you can see there is, again, more pre-designed footer templates available. And there's a lot of really nice ones that we can use. This one, I like it because it's nice and simple. Let's just use this one and see what comes up. So you can see what this did was it actually added a main navigation menu. It added some copyright, or I need to change that. So we can change it to 2021 and then just the name of our site. And we can put our phone number there if we wanted to. We can put any information that we really want in there. I'm just going to get rid of that for now because that's not phone number. And then we can change these social icons as well. So just kind of like the coming soon page, this is the same widget. So we can go through and change these out to appropriate social media icons that link to our social media pages, whatever pages that we have. So there's a lot of really cool customizations available. Just by using a couple clicks with the templates, you can really get a nicely designed website. So I'm going to just hit publish on that so we can showcase how this works. So it's the same as the header. We just do entire site and we'll hit save and close. And now if we go out of here and then go back to the front end of our site, you can always access the front end by going up to here and clicking it open. You can see now we have a header. And if we scroll down, now we have a footer. So we're really getting somewhere just with the, in this couple of minutes that we've been designing the website. If you use the templates, you can really start to build things out really nicely. So if we go to about, you can see that there are things moving along. We haven't worked on the gallery page yet, but we have some services here that I've worked on before starting this webinar. We have a contact page that I worked on. So there's a lot of cool features available. On this page, we have a map of Philadelphia because that's kind of where I'm located. We have some business hours and email address. So there's a lot that you can really do. The last thing that I want to go over with you is another template, and this is for blogs. So let's go back to our templates and talk about a blog template. So if we go to create a new template, this is going to be a template for blog posts. So to make this look a little more stylized and stuff. So what this does is whenever you publish a new blog post on your site, it will take in all of these settings and you don't have to actually design anything. You can just simply add the text and images to your blog, and then it will just take on the styling. So this is a really nice feature that's built into Elementor. And again, it's reusing things over and over again instead of going in and having to edit things one by one. It's much easier to do it this way. So what we're going to do is create a single post template. And I'm just going to call it single blog post. And we'll create a template for this. Now, there are, again, some really nice templates available that we can choose to use for our blog template. So let me just pick this one as an example. We'll load this up. And you can see this is pulling in some dynamic content. So I wanted to go over this because I think this is a really cool feature that's built into the Elementor page builder. So if we click here, you can see that it's pulling in some metadata. So metadata is like categories, and we can categorize our blog posts. I talked about this a little bit last week about how blogs can have categories and we can categorize things so it's easier for people to find things. So this is pulling in that category. This is also pulling in a post title. So I didn't have to add this at all. It just knew that my most recent post is called "This is Another Post." So this is how these templates work. It pulls in things dynamically. And then we can have some content down here for our post. So this is really great just to give our blogs a more streamlined look and make things look really nice. And again, you don't have to use the templates. You can create everything from scratch if you wanted to, but using the templates as a guideline kind of gives you some ideas for how things can go. So if we publish this template, we can then go to add condition and do all singular. So all singular means is all single blog pages. So whenever we write a new post on our site, it creates a page, and those pages are listed in chronological order. What this is saying is that for every single blog post, use this template. So if we hit save and close, our blog post will then use this template as their page layout. So if I go back here and go to post, you can see my two posts in there. If I view this now, you can see it's using that template. So I just wanted to go over that because if you are planning on having a blog on your website, this is a really nice feature to keep things consistent. Okay, so I know I went over a whole lot in this video series, but I hope that you got some good information out of it, and this will get you started on creating your own website with Elementor, and I'm sure you have tons of questions, so I'm here to answer.
Thank you, Barbara. That was absolutely amazing. So much information you shared with us today. As everybody prepares themselves and get their questions in the Q&A, I am going to post a 1-minute survey in the chat for you all to take in order for us to continue to offer these no-cost webinars to you all. Our funders would like to know how we're doing, so please make sure that you fill out that survey for us. And I just got a comment in the chat. Will this be on your YouTube channel as well as part 1? That is correct. And I believe Barbara will also post them on her YouTube channel as well. So you'll be able to find them on the Temple SBDC YouTube channel, as well as the Barbara's YouTube channel, Wiki Designs.
Mm-hmm.
And for the questions, Rick would like to know, is this useful for a service company such as HVAC?
Yeah, any type of website in any industry. If you need a website, you can use Elementor to build it.
Awesome. Carl would like to know, how many templates does Elementor give you?
I believe right now it's a little over 300, but this is something that's always getting updated. So you can expect to see more.
That's a lot. Awesome.
Yeah.
Carl would also like to know, can you see and change the underlying HTML values and attributes outside of this graphic editor?
Yeah, so if you wanted to change the and see the attributes, what I recommend doing is actually using the Chrome inspect element. If you can do that on any page. So let me share again. So what this will do is if you just like right click and hit inspect, this will show the code of your site and you can see your CSS styles here. You can see the entire code. So that I think would be what you're looking for if you wanted to go in and see how things are working.
All right. Cindy Green would like to know, I apologize, joined in late. Do we have to purchase the Elementor or software to create the website? If so, how much?
Yeah, so you would need to do what I did today, you would need to purchase Elementor Pro. It's $49 a year. It's totally worth it because you get everything that I showed you and you're getting updates. You're also getting new templates and everything. And the templates alone, some of them just by themselves on places like Template Monster and stuff would cost you $49. So it's really worth the cost.
Awesome. Bob would like to know, does the public see that once it's published, or does maintenance mode hide it?
Maintenance mode hides everything until you're ready to turn it off. So once your site is ready to go and everything looks the way that you want it to look, you'll go back to where I was in the maintenance mode part under the tools and just disable maintenance mode, and then the public site will be live.
Awesome. Carl would like to know if you could explain the incognito mode again.
So incognito is just not tracking like your cookies. So when you want to look and see like your maintenance page, you need to pull it up in incognito mode or log out. If when incognito mode, you wouldn't be logged into the site, so it's easier to view it that way, so you don't have to keep logging out and logging back in.
Awesome. Elizabeth would like to know, regarding the length of a copy on a page, is less always better?
It, as long as you can get the point across, whatever it is that you're trying to convey on the page, just, I always say if you can do it with as few words as possible, that's better, because people just don't have the attention spans. They don't read everything word for word. So sometimes your pages will be longer than others. It just really depends on the content of that page and what the goal of the page is. But I do think that breaking it up and making things really stand out without using a ton of words is always the better way to go.
Awesome. Luann would like to know, is there an option to not publish your website and not require you to have an under construction page?
So the only option really, it would be if you just put everything and saved it as draft, but people would still be able to access it. So the under construction thing is kind of a way to avoid that. Unless you wanted to set up like a demo server, that's kind of like a whole process. I would just put the coming soon page up. It's going to be easier.
Stacy would like to know, is Elementor the only program we will use going forward in this class? Sorry if this was asked before.
So yeah, I'm teaching you how to build a website using the Elementor page builder for WordPress. This is what I use to build all my websites for my clients. So I wanted to showcase how to use that tool.
right. Carl made a comment. I noticed that you are really good at moving around in Elementor editor, but I was just wondering, how does the built-in WordPress editor compare, or any other editors?
The built-in WordPress editor is not good. I'm just gonna be real with y'all. Gutenberg is nowhere near as capable as Elementor. I've used a ton of different page builders. I've been doing this for a really long time. Elementor is by far the best one. It has the most functionality.
All right. Cindy, you should see real quick how to access the Elementor. If you have time, she just posted that in the chat. Would you be able to do a quick little demonstration on how to get to Elementor in WordPress?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So does she want to know how to install it, or?
Yeah, so where can she find it? Like
Oh,
in
just
WordPress?
go, yeah, if you want to purchase it, it's elementor.com. Can I type in the chat?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's where you go to purchase it, elementor.com. And if you weren't here last week, I talk about how you install it on your site. So I would look at that video on YouTube.
And Cindy, yeah, Cindy, if you want to send an email to sbdc@temple.edu, I'm gonna post that in the chat as well. We'll get you the recording link from May 6th when Barbara actually walked through how to do all the Elementor stuff, okay? Let's see here. So Sean would like to know, what minimum level of WordPress do you recommend?
There really isn't a level. I don't understand that. Can you elaborate? There really isn't a level of WordPress. You just need to install WordPress on your site. Do you mean like a level of knowledge, or?
Hey, Sean, if you want to throw an elaboration in the Q&A for us, Barb, she can get that question answered for you. Sue would like to know, even if I could do the designing myself with WordPress and Elementor, I think I'd like to work with a web designer due to the time involved. I have to spend my time on my services and products. If a designer designs the site, can it be set up so the client can update the content themselves?
Yes, so that is what Wiki Design specializes in. We create Elementor websites and we hand them off to our clients. So what we do is, after a site is designed and launched, we provide training videos for all of our clients. They're custom training videos that go over how exactly to make updates to your website. So if you want to work with a web designer, I'm available.
Hey, Barb, you want to throw your link to the website in the chat real quick so everybody has it?
Sure.
Awesome. And then while you do that, Elizabeth would like to know, what about Google rankings and SEO looking for content and content length?
So that's something that we're going to talk about more in part 3. So join me for that session, because we're going to get a little bit into how to use Yoast, how to optimize your site for SEO. SEO has a lot of moving parts. So this is something that I wanted to save for part 3.
Awesome. And I will get that link to the part 3 session in the chat here shortly, just in case you all have not registered for that. We'll go ahead and get that in the chat. Elizabeth, she would also like to know, while I am working the site, how can I share drafts or site progress with other people on an unpublished page?
So what you can do is create a user. So I talked about users in the previous session. If you create a user for the person, it will allow them to log in to the site and see things unpublished. So that's what I would recommend doing. That's what I generally do for clients when I'm building new websites. I just create them a user, I let them log into the site, and then they can see things as they look without having to worry about the coming soon page.
Awesome. All right, it looks like Sean got an elaboration in the chat for us. He said he saw something about installing plugins only being available at certain O pricing tiers. Couldn't tell if that referred to WordPress plugins or a third-party plugin like Elementor.
So there's different tiers to Elementor. You just need the personal license, the $49 a month. That'll give you a license for one site. So if that's what you're talking about, that you don't need to get anything above that.
All right. And then I just posted the link to part 3 in the chat. So if you guys have not registered for part 3 of the WordPress workshop with Barbara and Wiki Designs, please make sure you get registered using that link that I just posted in the chat. Sean also has another question. He would like to know if a site is going to refer a customer to a third-party site for purposes of logging into an account there, are there any potential compatibility issues with WordPress or Elementor?
There could be, but probably not. If you're just going to link to a third-party application, you would just need to put a link in your navigation or somewhere on your site, like a button or something. So there probably wouldn't be any compatibility issues, but it really depends on what it is that you're doing, whether it's compatible. Elementor is compatible with mostly everything. And even if it's not, there are ways to get around with that by using things like Zapier.
Awesome. I'm assuming Bob would like to know a comparison between Elementor and Dreamweaver.
Oh, you're going old school with Dreamweaver. Yeah, Dreamweaver is what I used when I first started. Nobody uses Dreamweaver anymore, really. Elementor is going to give you what you need. Dreamweaver is like coding. You know, it's old school HTML code. Elementor is going to be so much easier for you if you're not a developer.
All righty, next question. Between doing it myself or hiring someone, what's the typical cost to hire a web designer?
So that information is on my website. Our cost for a standard website is right under $5,000. That includes, a basic website. So you would get your 6 pages, you get a blog, you get all the stuff that you need. It also includes all your training videos, which is something that I think is pretty exclusive to us that we provide. So you can make the updates yourself. I also have a whole video on how much a website costs in 2021 if you want to check that out on my YouTube channel. And that breaks down the cost of different platforms. So not just WordPress. I kind of did some digging into some of the other platforms like Wix, Squarespace, and Showit, and kind of just figured out how much things would cost. I think WordPress is probably the most cost-effective solution, but it really depends on what your needs are.
Awesome. So that looks like, that wraps up the questions there. Does anyone else have any other questions? Go ahead and throw them in the Q&A. You are welcome, Elizabeth. And it looks like we got another question. Yeah, so the link for, just to let everyone know, the link for part 1 of this workshop, something happened. It's like a broken link now. So I'm actually trying to get it fixed. So as soon as it's fixed, we will get that information out to you all. If you just want to send an email to sbdc@temple.edu, I will receive it and just let me know that you want the video link for part 1. And then once it's fixed, I can just send it to you in an email. It will be on our YouTube channel. It will be on Barb's YouTube channel. So you can find it in both of those places as well. Looks like Rob would like to know, is WordPress good for e-commerce?
Yeah, there's a whole e-commerce platform extension called WooCommerce that you can use, and you can sell anything with a WordPress site. So there's a lot of different functionality available. And a cool thing about Elementor is there is a lot of WooCommerce functionality built in. So going back to those templates that I was talking about, you can design product page templates, which is really nice because you can really customize your templates for all your products, and it really makes a beautiful website.
Awesome. Next question. If we have a site with WordPress and want to add Elementor, is that easy or will it cause trouble?
It really depends on how your site was built. It definitely can cause some issues. In a lot of cases, you'll be fine, but it really honestly depends on what you use to build your site.
And Shelby would like to know if you can help her finish her website and how much will it cost. Shelby, if you want to check out Barbara's
check out my email
website.
me, fill out the contact form, and I'll be happy to talk to you about it.
Awesome. Well, I think we made it through part 2. What do you think, Barb?
We did it.
We did it. We did it. So if no one else has any other questions, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up here. It's about 3:16 p.m. Any last words to the attendees, Barb?
Thanks for joining me. I hope you guys got some good information. And if you do have any additional questions, you can go to wikidesign.com and fill out my contact form. I'll get those questions emailed to me and we can chat further.
Awesome. Well, everyone, I hope you had a chance to grab that link out of the chat for part 3. We are looking forward to part 3 of this WordPress building your website with Barb of Wiki Design. Just to let everyone know, a copy of the presentation as well as the recording link will be sent out to you all via email 3 to 5 business days after this event. Again, part 1, we're having some troubles with the link, but as soon as it's fixed, we'll get that information out to you all. You'll be able to find it on our YouTube channel as well as Barb's YouTube channel. And if you're interested in one-on-one counseling services, please send SBDC at temple.edu an email, and we'll get you set up with one-on-one, no-cost consulting. If you had questions just about your business, developing your online platform, looking for financing, we can help you out with all that stuff. We have a variety of consultants who specialize in so many different areas. So we thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We look forward to seeing you for part 3, and we hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Barb.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You're welcome.